Hi, I'm Ruth Andrus, and this is the Leonard at Logan Bed and Breakfast, and we're located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so today I am prepping for apple roses, and they're just a really beautiful addition that we can have for breakfast, or you could have them anytime. They're just lovely. And what I like to do is slice my apples in the evening, and it makes it a little bit easier in the morning. So that's all I'm going to do is show you how to slice the apples right now, and then we'll close it up and come back and we'll finish them up in the morning. So when you slice them, most of the time you want to core them, but you don't have to core them. You want to slice them really, really thin. So you just cut your apple in half. You don't have to take those seeds out. And that end part usually is for me. I like to eat it. And we just slice them really, really thin. I don't know if you can see how thin that is. And then once you've sliced them, you still have that core in there. You want to get rid of it. So you use a melon scooper and you just take it. And that way you have very, very little waste for the apple. So that one didn't even have any core in it, so I don't have to do that. Just like give it a little notch. Totally takes the core out. That's it. And I will do that with about 6, 7 apples, and I will put them in my bag with a little bit of lemon juice, and they will be just fine until the morning. Good morning. It is still dark outside, but it's going to be a beautiful day. So you remember those apples that we sliced very thinly? And what I did is I laid them all out on plates in kind of a thin layer, and I just sprinkled some water on them and threw them in the microwave for 90 seconds. And that makes them bendable. You see, because then we're going to roll them up, so we need them to be a little bit bendy. And we bring them out, and while you're preparing your dough, I cover them up with plastic wrap, put a little towel over them to kind of keep them bendy. So that's that. And then what we have, I cheat a little and I use prepared pie crust. But you can also use crescent rolls. Some people have done it with crescent rolls and that works too. And I've done it before, just makes them a little thicker. So what I've done is you just pull out your pie crust and you can roll it out into a rectangle. Do your best. It gets a little tricky, but it's okay if it's not perfect. But just a little bit more. So they're about that long. And then after you have it shaped into mostly a rectangle, then you can cut it into however many roses you want to make. But we need about, like, what is that, an inch and a quarter strips. And I want to make 12 roses. So I'm trying to get 6 strips out of this one and 6 strips out of that one. I'm told that straight lines are not my forte, so excuse my wiggly lines. But that's okay, because that won't make any difference in the long run. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. 5, 6. And I know they're not perfect, but you know what, that's okay. So what we want to do next is we separate them because we want to have enough room to lay our apples on top of them and create our roses. So you notice that I've lined my workspace again with wax paper. That gives me a good place to make these, construct them all. So the next thing we do, and I did cut off a little bit up here because they looked a little wide. This one also, you basically need a strip. And then I'm going to brush all of them. Notice I'm doing assembly style. I love assembly style because then you can get it all cranked out. And I'm going to brush each one with a generous amount of melted butter. Whoops, stay down there, little buddy. We'll just do these 6 right now. And then, as just a little surprise, I have some homemade raspberry jam, and I want to just put a hint of that on there. And it's better to do this before the cinnamon and sugar because it's hard to stretch it out on top of the cinnamon sugar. So cinnamon sugar will go anywhere, and we can just kind of dab that on. It's just like this little secret surprise when you bite into this. Makes it very fun. So notice I'm not using a lot just a hint. And it doesn't have to be homemade raspberry jam. It can be store-bought raspberry jam, or it could be strawberry jam. Or if you wanted to try something different, try blueberry jam. I don't know, peach jam, that would be good too. Then you just sprinkle it with a generous amount of cinnamon sugar. And we're talking generous. Make sure they all get covered. So cinnamon and sugar, you just use like a cup. My proportions are 1 cup of white sugar and probably a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of cinnamon. That's a good ratio. And then you just stir it all up together, and it makes a lovely, tasty cinnamon and sugar that you can use on top of so many things. Okay, so these 6 are ready for our apples. So now we're ready to place our apples. So what you want to do is you want to just line them up over half, because we're going to be folding that up and over, and we layer them like this. And they're overlapping, and you notice that I didn't peel them either, because that gives it a nice rose-like quality at the end, which you'll see. So that's plenty for that one. So we'll roll this one up. Sometimes if you want to leave a little bit more dough on there, that's okay also. But you don't want it too doughy. We're more interested in that yummy apple flavor. I like standing them up too, because that sometimes makes it a little easier to roll. There we go. And you can adjust the petals a little bit also, but that one turned out pretty well. So now I will just construct the rest of them. Now they're all ready. So don't they look beautiful? They already look like roses, don't they? At this point, I like to just dab a hint more of butter on them, just to kind of make it a little more decadent, of course. And then I will sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on top. When they come out of the oven, ooh, we have a little surprise that we put on them then too, because I like to get my caramel out and just drizzle them with a hint of caramel. They taste like apple pie, which is our goal. But there we go, just a little bit of that, and then another little sift of this, because I like my cinnamon and sugar. And then we're going to bake them in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. The first 10 minutes I bake them without any foil on them, and just so they don't burn, then I put a little gentle piece of foil on top. Not totally tucked in, but just lay it on top so that they won't get burned. Okay, we're ready to go in the oven. So now they just came out of the oven. Don't they look beautiful? And I sprinkled them, no, I drizzled them with a little bit of caramel sauce. You can kind of see them. And then what I did was I took a knife and kind of gently went all the way around that, and I let them sit for about 5 minutes. So that helps them to pull away from the side. So now we're going to very carefully try to get them out. Usually, oh, look at that. They just slid right out. And we're gonna plop them on our plate there. And that's exactly what we need to do with all of them. And then once we get them out, then what I do is I kind of just put a hint of powdered sugar on there, and it just makes them look lovely.